Good afternoon. Welcome to this virtual book launch. Today we are launching the book of Donnell Duncan entitled A New Mindskin, Leadership Superpowers, 100 Governance Proverbs for the Marketplace. If you haven't pre-ordered your book already, go right to Amazon.com to order your copy. And you can also officially order it now because it is available as of today. Today happens to be Donnell's birthday, and we are releasing the book. So what better gift to get him than to get a copy of his book for yourself? Let me just tell you a little bit more about Donnell before we dive into a brief conversation about the book. Donnell Duncan, P-E-S-E, is a speaker and author of 9 books before this one, which is his 10th. He is a structural engineer, project manager, and business development professional in the U.S. water industry. He is an associate vice president of a multinational engineering consulting firm headquartered in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, where he leads the South region of the Resilient Water Business Area Structural Engineering Group. Donnell earned a bachelor's degree in applied physics from Morehouse College, as well as bachelor's and master's degrees in civil engineering structures from Georgia Tech. He is a licensed professional engineer or structural engineer in over 30 states, including Tennessee, Los Angeles, Minnesota, Arkansas, DC, Utah, etc., just to name a few. He also earned diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace and ethical and inclusion leadership certificates from the University of South Florida, Muma College of Business. He's also very active in the water industry. Most importantly, alongside his wife, Angel, he pastors the Body Church in Metro Atlanta, Georgia. Can we congratulate Donnell on the release of this new book? Go ahead and put it in the chat right there on YouTube, right there on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you are, LinkedIn. Congratulate him on this new release of this wonderful book. And it is available in all forms. So if you want a paperback, a hard copy, an ebook, or an audio book, you can get a copy of this wonderful new release from Donnell. I'm going to let him just greet us, and then we'll get into a little bit of conversation about this wonderful new book. Donnell.
Well, I'm happy to be here, very excited about this opportunity. Just to put a formal release on the book, and definitely it's a privilege to be interviewed by my wife, Angel, and to be able to release to the world these ideas that I've been working on for about 3 years. So, game time.
Wonderful. It definitely is game time. And speaking of time, Donnell, what inspired you to write this book at this time? Why this book and why now?
So this book actually came out of another book. The first book was A New Mindskin. And from A New Mindskin, I was just blogging, just writing articles, talking about leadership, leveraging A New Mindskin, the book that I wrote previously, to get the root for many of the ideas. And it just kept going and going and going. And then I kind of got to the point where I was like, all right, I'll do 100. Mm-hmm. And when I was wrapping it up, I realized, you know what, this is a book. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it became a book. So at the beginning, I wasn't intending on writing a book. I was really just wanting to write about the previous book, A New Mindskin.
That's really interesting. You know, as you said, you didn't intend on writing a book, number one, and then look what came out of just thinking about making, I guess, a sequel to the series that has begun. That's definitely going to benefit so many readers who love the first book, The New Mindskin, and who are looking forward to growing and understanding more about leadership. Why 100 Proverbs?
So I'm a scientist and an engineer, So I always like round numbers, round, easy, full integers. So I was like, it can't be 96 or 89. So I was like, 100. And it also was a challenge. I was like, I'm going to give myself this challenge of ending this at 100. Because I figured out 100 maybe when I was maybe at 50 or 60 or something. I was like, all right, we're going to go to 100. And I just kind of figured out that's the number. Yeah.
My goodness. And how long did it take you to, as you say, you didn't intentionally begin writing a book, but it kind of grew or morphed out of you coming up with one by one proverb at a time. How long did it take you?
So I wrote them one a week.
Okay, so at least 100
2
weeks.
years. So that's about 2 years.
Yes.
Notwithstanding maybe missing a week or two. So it was about 2 years, which may have spilled into 3 years to get these 100 written. Then I spent at least a year and something doing the compilation and then the revisions and all the processes of having leaders from around the world read it, provide their thoughts and their feedback, and then having to rewrite based on the feedback that I received. So it at least 3 to 4 years, this entire process took.
My goodness. Who would have known that it took you 4 years? Ladies and gentlemen, you want to get a copy of this book. It's got 4 years of sweat and tears and prayers and wisdom from Donnell. And then you mentioned you spoke to other leaders. I did notice that as I looked at the book. There's quite a few individuals who provide a couple of the quotes and their feedback. For example, we have on here from Tracy Rucard. She's a chair of Douglas County Board of Education. She said that to her, after reading this book, it's more than a leadership guide. It's a playbook for purpose-driven impact. Wow, that's amazing. We also have on here from Mr. Keith Callender, Managing Director of KC Investments and Financial Services. He says, an attention grabber on truths that inform the reader of the tools needed for effective leadership in the marketplace. And there's so many others. I mean, it just sounds like anyone who reads this book, especially leaders, and we all are, they're going to glean something from this book. Can you tell us a little bit about the book as far as its difference from all the previous 9 books you wrote?
So at my core, I'm a preacher.
Right.
More than an engineer, more than a scientist, more than a business guy, an investor, I'm a preacher. So every book I've written has always leaned towards preaching the word, scriptures, biblical something. And I wrestle with the idea of how can I write a book that's not another preaching book? Okay. So I decided I'm going to tackle something that is 100% for the marketplace, not just Christians in the marketplace, but for everyone in the marketplace. So I really stepped outside of my comfort zone, which is biblical comfort, and decided how can I get these principles to be a lot more, not generic, but standardized, even though in the end, the principles still are biblical. But how can I find a way to make this book a lot more palatable without too many scriptures? There's still scriptures because I can't get away from the scriptures. But that was the intent. So it's very, very different. It's a marked difference from any of the other books I've written.
And that is definitely the case. As I read through your book, and I had the privilege of reading it before as well, but I did notice that there are quite a few quotes from an array of leaders. There are scriptures in here, but more so, there are a lot of great quotes from various leaders. For example, chapter 9.8, it says it's entitled Being Available, and it begins with this quote from Nicholas V. Lupa, best-selling leadership author. And it says, just being available and attentive is a great way to use listening as a management tool. Some employees will come in, talk for 20 minutes, and leave having solved their problems entirely by themselves. There's a lot of truth in that. And that is from chapter 9 of the book, which encompasses and includes communication. And, you know, this book has so many other great quotes in here. You have quotes from congresswomen. You have quotes from CEOs. You even have Churchill in here. Churchill, 1940, under chapter 5.9, it says, finding your leadership voice. And it says, we shall not flag or fail. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our islands, whatever the coast may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender. Winston Churchill, wonderful, wonderful leader and great quotes. How did you determine which leadership quotes to include in each of your chapters?
So the joy of taking over 2 years to write a book and do one a week is that I could focus just on that one chapter during that week. And it actually started off with me trying to find relevant quotes from respected leaders that align exactly with the principles that I'm teaching at that point in time. So even between the process of transferring from the blogging / articles to the actual book, I upgraded some of the quotes. Because I realized, hey, you know what? This is a book. Let's get an even better quote. Because everything has already been said. Like at the end of the day, over thousands of years, people have addressed every issue that's in existence. There was not one principle I had in my book that I could not have found some other leader somewhere, because I didn't just want it to be coming from me. I was like, who else is saying what I'm saying? And that was really my intention.
Powerful, powerful, and very impacting for all who would read it. You know, something else that I noticed in here, besides the fact that you did so much research and really aligned the leaders' quotes with the pertinent topic that's covered, I noticed that in every section, there's also what's called a superpower activation. A superpower activation. Could you tell us a little bit more about what that is at the end of each section?
So it's another departure from my style. I like to give information and then you figure it out. But this was actually your feedback. And you were also joined by a couple of the leaders who said, look, the way this book is written, it's all about implementing what's being said. So it's not a book you just read through. It's a book where you take a chapter and then figure out, how do I do this? And as a result, I decided, you know what, based on all the feedback that I got, especially yours, let me get out my comfort zone and let me sit down and think, what are the questions that you need to ask yourself to help you implement what you just read? So each of these superpower activation segments follow each chapter. So you have 100 of them, and each of them has 3 pointed questions that apply to that chapter. That if you can answer these 3 questions, you are intentionally finding ways to implement what you just saw.
Excellent, excellent. Put some comments in the chat. What did you think so far about what you heard from the author and about you getting your hands on this book and activating your superpower?
Well, we just come by to say happy birthday to you. Your birthday is this week. So we want to declare blessings to you and abundant favor, the peace of God increase. You know, I just thanks God is going to be just increasing your influence in the nations of the world. And he's going to be taking you even places that you thought of as a child, you dreamt of as a child, and he's going to be taking you into those places, especially this last book. I haven't read it, I just heard the title, and I just think this one is going to open doors for you. So blessings on you. Have a wonderful birthday. The peace, the blessings of God, and live long and prosper well.
Let's talk about this book. I was privileged to have a pre-launch copy of the book. And I am learning so much from that book. You have to have your pen. You have to have a highlighter. It's not the kind of book that you could just read And you went out of character, actually, I would say to you, that you wrote in short chapters, which is not done. I don't know who suggested that, because usually chapters are long, everything is long. And for some reason, the chapters are mercifully short, which makes it easy reading for everybody. And yet, the content is so deep, so thought-provoking. It sends me back to the drawing board. You have me constantly relooking, reviewing my whole leadership style. I've never done that before. I've never been challenged to look inside of myself in terms of leadership style, because I was just content. This is how I do it. This is who I am. This is my personality. And you're forced me to really look inside and re-examine my style.
Happy birthday, Apostle Donnell. I feel so honored and privileged just to share the blessing that you have been to me. I also am celebrating your new book. I look forward to it. I know it's going to continue to transform my life and many lives. You are someone really to be admired and as a kingdom man and a kingdom leader. And we do look at you and we learn from you just by the way you live, by the way you love your wife, the way you have such passion and care for ministry, your commitment, your perseverance, your endurance. There's so much we learn from you. But there was just one word that came to me as we were gathering here today. And the word is impact. Impact. And when I looked at the word, there are scriptures related to it, but just looking at the meaning of the word in terms of synonyms, I believe you already are doing this, but it's going to obviously be a greater dimension. And I'm praying this for you, that you will not only have effect, but affect the lives that you interact with. You will continue to have influence, greater influence as you impact the industries. The people that will interact with your book will be changed, and you will influence the way, as Apostle Gemma was saying, have internal reflections about how they lead as kingdom people. And you will always leave an impression. You will always achieve results for whatever you put your hands to, positive results. And I just felt impact is what is I connecting with you with by the Holy Spirit, and I praise God for all that He is doing and is about to do as you enter into this beautiful new season of your life. And just thank you.
Just to mention a couple of these questions here, just so that we have a grid for what we can expect. Here is one. The question is, what is your leadership theory, your idea of what leadership means and what it requires to be effective? What is your leadership attitude, your mindset and demeanor regarding leadership? And finally, what are your leadership guiding principles, the values you choose to influence how you lead others? These are really, really great questions, and there's so many in here. And just one last question before we kind of wrap up our discussion here. What is it that you hope readers will walk away having learned or increased in their understanding of?
Well, I'll tell you this. Typically, I've found that people who excel in the workplace get promoted, which is awesome. But because you excel at your job doesn't mean you excel at being a leader.
That's a good point.
And that's the challenge we run into, where we have excellent workers who then become the supervisors of their former co-workers and suck at it.
Yeah.
Even though they're great at the work. That doesn't mean they're great at leadership. So the intent was just to home in on the fact that, hey, leadership is learned. Just like structural engineering is learned. Just like physics is learned. if somebody didn't teach you that in school, you're not going to know what to do. You're going to mumble, fumble, stumble, grumble, and you're going to look crazy, even though you have the best intentions, because you just don't know what you're doing. And that's really how it is. And what happened with my life is I just decided, what's everything I know? And what's everything I could find? I found 100.
That's awesome. 100 governance proverbs for the marketplace. Ladies and gentlemen, get your hands on a new Mindskin Leadership Superpowers, available now on Amazon.com. And Donnell, is there any other places or ways that people can find you, connect, and get their hands on other pieces of literature and just know about the things that you have going on?
Yes. Well, first I would say all the online booksellers that are major will eventually pick it up. So it's going to launch on Amazon immediately, and then the other major online booksellers will pick it up. So over time, you'll see it popping up on other online major booksellers, because people buy their books on the internet now. So you're going to find it in those bookstores. And of course, if you want to find me, I say Google me.
Google you.
Google me. Just Google my name. You're going to find videos. You're going to find my YouTube page. You're going to find me on Facebook. You're going to find me on Instagram. You're going to find the church, the Body Church. You can check out our church website, thebodychurchinc.org. That's thebodychurchinc.org. You look me up. I mean, I'm everywhere. Like I'm done trying to pretend. You're going to find me. It's nothing. Put my name in any search engine and stuff's going to come up.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, if you joined us today for this virtual book launch of a new Mindskin Leadership Superpowers, go ahead and put your name or something in the chat. Let us know you were here. Let us know you were present, and let us know that you are going to get your hands on this book now at Amazon.com. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll see if, Donnell, do you have any last parting comments before we go?
Yes, I would say take your time as you read this book, because you might think, oh, it's 100 chapters, I'm going to knock this out. It's going to take you a while. So just be prepared emotionally ahead of time. As you tackle this book, you're going to go step by step by step. It may take you months to make it through this book. It took me years to write it. So take your time and give us feedback. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me everywhere. Just Google me and let me know what you think about the book.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it right here. Google Donnell Duncan and get your copy of this book today. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.